Today we're diving into something many of you have been asking about: how I make money while living in Spain, the tax rates, and how I manage tax declarations. But before I proceed, please note that I am not a tax expert nor a tax advisor. When in doubt, always consult with a business accountant or a tax specialist. Moving on, if I'm employed by a local company, everything will be less complicated because my social security contributions and income tax will be automatically deducted from my monthly salary, and I will just have to file my personal income tax or the IRPF annually. But since I work remotely and generate income from outside of Spain, then it's an entirely different scenario, and it's hell of a lot complicated if you ask me. So in today's video, I'm breaking down everything I learned when setting up my own business, Sociedad Limitada, as they call it, or SL, here in Barcelona, including the cost, the benefits, the headaches, and most importantly, how to make it all work while maintaining your remote lifestyle. Whether you're a freelancer, a consultant, or running an e-commerce business like we do with our Amazon store, this guide will save you time, money, and a whole lot of confusion. So grab a cafe con leche and let's get into it. First, let's start with a big question. Should you register as self-employed, or what they call Autónomo, or create a limited company also known as Sociedad Limitada? Here's a quick view for your reference. Now you're probably thinking, which option should I choose? If you're just starting your business and your annual income is below 60,000 euros, Autónomo is a quick and convenient way to get started. It's perfect for freelancers, specialists, and small shops. However, be prepared for the risk to fall on you, and taxes could rise significantly if your income increases. On the other hand, if your business is growing, you need to scale up, or you want to minimize personal asset risk, SL would be the better choice. Despite the more complex registration process and additional costs, this structure provides more protection and potential benefits, especially for larger projects. For me and my partner, we chose the SL route partly because we were launching an Amazon business targeting US customers, and having a Spanish business registration would benefit us as sellers, but that's for another video. Anyway, here's something crucial that many guides don't mention. Even with an SL or Sociedad Limitada, the designated administrador, in our case that's me, must also register as an Autónomo, which means paying monthly for social security contributions. That's a tongue twister. Anyway, these payments start at just 87 euros per month for the first year, but jump to around 300 euros monthly in the second year. So factor that into your calculations. It is possible to request for an extension of the 87 euros per month if your monthly income is equal or less than 1,200 euros. This minimum requirement can vary and or change frequently. Another thing, your social contributions can also change frequently. So when you receive a message from Seguridad Social, just forward that message to your accountant or a tax lawyer for clarity. This happened to us recently, and it was unclear whether my social contributions would increase or decrease, so our accountant told us to wait for the document that will be mailed to us by Seguridad Social. Whether you choose to set up an SL or be an Autónomo, it's still highly recommended to consult with a business accountant or a tax lawyer to avoid confusion that may result to penalties. Setting up an SL involves several steps, and I'll walk you through each one. First, you'll need to reserve your company name through the Registro Mercantil Central. Make sure it's unique. Next, work with a lawyer to draft your company bylaws. These define how your company operates. After that, visit a notary to sign the deed of incorporation or Escritura de Constitución. This makes everything official but can cost a few hundred euros. This is also one of the most formal steps that you will take when setting up a Sociedad Limitada. After that, you'll register for your company tax ID or the NIF by submitting what's called Modelo 036 at the tax office. And then you'll register with the Mercantile Registry, which formally brings your SL into existence. and set up your social security registration if you plan to hire employees, including yourself. But this can come later. And then once you have the document that your business is operational, you can now open a business bank account and deposit the minimum capital of 3,000 euros. The bank will provide a certificate confirming this deposit. Now let's talk money. How much does all this actually cost? Based on my experience, here's the breakdown. So we paid 636 euros for lawyer fees, 775 euros for notary fees for the business registration, 171 euros for a gestoria to set up digital certificates, and 17 euros for the registro mercantil. That's about 1,600 euros total, which you can declare as a business expense. If we were to do it all over again, we would hire a tax lawyer from the get-go because we practically paid double for lawyer fees, which was unnecessary. But remember, there are ongoing costs too. A good accountant who speaks your language will cost around 150 to 200 euros per month plus the IVA or the VAT. Trust me when I say that this expense is absolutely worth it. Now for everyone's favorite topic, taxes. The Spanish system has some quirks you need to know about. When working with Spanish clients, you will have to charge 21% IVA or VAT on your invoices. But here's a perk. Services provided to international clients outside the EU don't require IVA. This can be a significant advantage for remote workers, primarily serving international markets, like me. With regards to corporate income tax or the IRPF, the standard rate is currently 25%, but only 15% for new companies during their first 2 profitable years. However, terms and conditions apply, so again, always consult with a business accountant or a tax lawyer. Also, be prepared for quarterly tax returns plus annual income filings because missing deadlines can result in penalties. So this is where the accountant really earns their fee. And here's another tip. If your registered business address is your home, you can claim 25% of your rent and utilities as business expenses as long as all the bills or utilities are registered under the company and not under an individual. This definitely helps with Barcelona's rising housing costs. Lastly, here are a few practical considerations from my experience. First, timing matters. Avoid trying to complete any official business in July or August. The entire country essentially shuts down for vacation, and you'll find yourself frustrated with delays. Second, while Barcelona is relatively international, speaking some Spanish will make a huge difference. Third, keep meticulous records. Spanish bureaucracy loves documentation, so save every receipt, invoice, and official document. And if you're running an Amazon business like we are, note that your accountant will need to create invoices for all Amazon income transfers, as Amazon doesn't provide these documents themselves. So that's it. Starting a business in Spain definitely has its challenges. The bureaucracy can be frustrating and the process takes patience. But honestly, the lifestyle benefits of living in Barcelona while running your remote business make it all worthwhile. With the right preparation and professional support, you can navigate the system successfully and enjoy everything this amazing city has to offer. I hope this guide helps you on your journey to entrepreneurship in Barcelona. As always, if you have questions, drop them in the comments below or send me an email. And if you found this useful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Remember, life's too short not to work from somewhere beautiful. Until next time, hasta luego.